We're gonna take a look at the weekend tournament week 100 for the European and Americas region. So first of all we have Baller. Beating pretty much everyone here in the top 5. So very few redundant wins, so to say. We're gonna expect a lot of hounds today, because hounds are pretty goddamn strong. And we already see the first one, that is a hound speed spec. Very high HP because it's hound and Mustang. And speed spec also not a very valuable thing for most comps, so it's also very high in HP. His opponent goes for a classic, more standard-like pack. So hounds here trying to snowball. Question is he gonna go to the line or is he coming from a mid point? Being on the line makes you a little bit more susceptible to scorpion play and also to a bunch of rockets, air stuff. This chuffer. You need some space to deploy chuff, and if you can't, you have to tank with the hounds, and until the hounds have range, they are pretty squishy, and we would like to get XP here. Double spell for both, because the Rhino drop is just that good. Makes sure that people have to allocate resources to the flanks, and in this case it opens up the tower. And being speed spec, you can pressure the tower really fast. So there's a humongous pool here. So there were two options here for the opponent, either the level 2 Wraith or the Scorpion. The Scorpion seems to be the go-to for most people to counter hounds, but, big but, this Scorpion is level 2, which is not necessary for doggies. They have such low base stats that the Scorpion is overkilling them by tenfold almost. And the Scorpion is relatively expensive. You can buy 3 doggies for 1 Scorpion, and if it's level 2, it's even 4.5. And on the other hand, no air defense right now. Since these are all ground based. Very scary position here for Goch's Prime. Does have his Fire Badger this turn, but that's all he has going for him. And Baller puts corner dogs everywhere. There's gonna be a Badger flank coming, but then again, level 2 Wraith with speed spec should get the tower before the marksman can threaten him. And there we go. The upside for the Scorpion is that he has a pretty big tank in front now. Right, Fire Badger goes down. Incendiary bomb for both. Incendiary here does take out the Mustangs and the dogs. Second line of defense against the Wraith and the Hounds here are Sledges. Way tankier than the Arclights, because Arclights got nerfed. They are at 4k HP now and can get killed by doggies quite easily. Now in this case Baller does completely ignore the tower. Believes he will arrive sooner at his opponent's towers or win or lose before the Fire Badger even becomes a thing. And as you can see, that is exactly the case. That tower is fortified, so is this one. So essentially, due to the spells, everything that was ground base is already dead. Big boy Scorpion continues to tank for a little bit, but this Wraith is still a big problem, since there is no answer to that. Marksmen don't count. Way too squishy, way too slow. And low damage against a level 2. Alright. Whoops. My bad. Turn 5. So Wraith did get a level up there. More air threats. Selling out of the Mustang because he doesn't really need them. There's nothing on this board that requires Mustangs. No Fangs, no air units. But here comes the Phoenix. Now he's doubly invested into Marksman and Phoenix, which is obviously bad because it requires you to get upgrades. And now the opponent has Wasp as well, which these units do not perform good against. And they supplement the Hound damage quite nicely. It's also round 5 with Range and Mech-Rage. No speed click. So completely naked on the run, but no problem either because he is speed spec after all. Alright, huge damage. Rhino Assault again. So double Rhino Assault for both. This time we get all the buffs online. Can smell the win. Now Typhoons are sitting on the flanks here. There's no armor option for the doggos here. Not really sure what this Rhino is supposed to do. It doesn't hit the Wasp here. Probably miscalculation because of range. And those Rhinos are just as a defense against enemy Rhinos. One Wasp here to catch them all. Now it's up to the Typhoons to clear all the Hounds, the Wraith and the Wasp. And as we can see, they do kind of do it, but not at all positions. The middle one and the front of the towers both held, but then the cavalry comes in, both towers go down, even with level 2 fortification. And the Rhinos also give you some value here. So you can see Typhoons do deal with the doggies, but they don't deal with them efficient enough. So now he's almost in one-shot range. That's pretty much every cheese. Redeployment. More stuff to the same flank. The tower dives faster. All the doggies get their upgrade. Opponent invests into air spec on the Typhoon, which is terrible against the dogs because it doesn't have any effect. Probably better off putting Mech-Rage or even homing missile. Full attack upgrade, 1 defense upgrade. Opponent has 0 upgrades. So very much behind on the quality of the units. Here come the Wasp with new ground spec. Trying to force his way in here. but the shield value and the combined firepower of the Phoenixes do take him out here. So it's time for a cheese turn, because there's not many turns remaining. He will maybe live for 2 more turns. Make blast. Huge value if he wants to. Although I think this is a bug. Let me see. Should be unit drop here. Yeah, there we go, unit drops. Okay, Sandworm. Very good with all this pushing power. Does run armor if he wants to. Fire also very good against sledges, because it will kill the sledges eventually. In terms of this board, as you can see, there is like 1 crawler in the flames right now. These guys all fly, and dogs, when they are leveled, can tank the fire quite nicely. And here comes the armor Sandworm play. So if any of these worms survive, it will probably be enough damage. Right, so everything is gonna burn. The tower is immediately under attack because the worms are both on the line. They have speed spec and they have the tower enhancement speed as well. So the only question is, can the Phoenixes clear out the Wasp? And the answer looks like a resounding no, because the rest of the board cannot deal with the worms anyway. So as long as 2 worms stay alive, that is GG. So as you can see, very strong, powerful start. The Typhoon defense came online, but only because there was no tank unit in front. There wasn't a huge damage dealer in the back. The Wasp do not count. That is not a damage dealer to pop shields. And the area spec again is very inflexible, so it does not do well into anything but air units pretty much. Alright, second game versus Bratwurst. No dog opener, so we're gonna see something different. But there is a dog opener for Bratwurst if he would like to. And he will take that. Fuzz here, Arclight, playable here. Giant Spec is playable for sure. The Baller goes for Elite. Interesting. So Elite has the big advantage of having Arclights that immediately outscale the Hounds because of their XP. 694 base damage against 800 Hound HP. Goes for a defensive setup. Pretty much all standard, except the fangs are outside a little bit. Probably to answer air cheese if there is one. Bratwurst has a very weird deployment here. Stacks all the units on one clump. Does have Assmen on the bar. Does not run hot dogs, but he does run the extinguisher dogs. Alright, so clean round 1. Both go for the best unit on turn 2, which is the Fast here. Level 2 crawlers not that good here because they will get killed by sledges. As you can see, 554, 600 base attack. Sledges do actually clear those quite nicely. So do dogs, but they need the upgrades. Right now they're not very efficient. Farseer also 1.2k base damage. Does very well into doggies and sledges for that matter. But the level 2 crawler gets it done. And does actually take out the opponent's tower, who went very greedy with his setup here. And will get punished by Farseer. Because the Farseer can solo this entire army by himself if you get tower debuffs going. Right, efficient tech and a incendiary, which is very good against this position because Bratwurst is funneling all the units through the middle. Doesn't really have any flanks yet. It's time for ranged arc lights, okay. No charge shot yet. Bratwurst learned his lesson and has now deployed a fire badger here to deny the place. Was considering putting them on the flank here, but decided against it. Now the chaff gets annihilated here. There is late fangs for border, so marksmen are doing very little here. And the Farseer is still the main carry. It also gets a level up if he wants to. Although that is quite expensive. Actually, it's not. Okay, goes for a tungsten rod, so tempo here. We can see Bratwurst is not playing the hound push properly here. He is playing a very mixed bag of units. And this marksman placement smells like assman. No pun intended. So more fangs to buffer. Double kill right there on the marksman, but the tungsten is a little bit misplaced, could have been more forward. Would have killed more units, more sledges. But I don't think that's gonna matter, because right now Bratwurst has a lot of marksmen in positions where they don't really matter. Shooting at chaff. We have Badger versus Arclight, which the Arclight wins with his level up. Only advantage is his tech, which he has not used at all, because there is no techs right now. And he does have the enhancement module. Okay, so he's a wood enjoyer. Goes for the boat push here. Does actually run into a Farseer here, so Farseers can take out these big boats. But that boat is going to be level 2 with the intensive training enhancement module combo, which is a very high value. And he goes for the complete setup with other cannon and whatnot. There is a attempted tower snipe here from the Phoenixes, but they will only come in later. Missile takes that crawler. And the chaff clear for Bratwurst is questionable still, so the bolts don't actually make it to the tower in time, whereas the Phoenixes do. Flanking Arclight also took care of some chaff. And Phoenixes get their position exactly at the right moment, because they get tower debuff. Although I'm not sure if they will be able to kill this. No. So this overload is snowballing really hard now because it gets upgrades for free thanks to the module. And now we need a proper answer to kill this. Melting point, anti-aspect, marksman and whatnot. Wasp, also an option. He has wasp spawn. Wow. Does actually sell out of the boat. So super greedy play from Bratwurst here. Because that would have been a very big boat. Second push is being set up on the other side. Interesting. So no text on the Wasp, but not just the melting point with the range. But since he's elite spec, it's pretty hard for him to switch around with the text like Bratwurst does. Very expensive to do so. So boats take that tower no problem, because there was barely anything in the way. Let's also keep in mind, since it's a full cheese bar, he does have jump drive. So can go for a big boat push anytime he wants. Still no Asman clicked. Alright, so Border is in the same position as last time. He wins the early game. And now he has to come back. Lightning Storm is a very good spell here because it fights the Wasp and the boat. Also, no chuff in front, so this is prime target for missiles. Bratwurst keeps using that enhancement model. The problem is he's falling behind on deploys more and more. Unless he hits that mass recruitment button every time, which he should because he has the additional money. Money is not a problem. But he doesn't, so there is very, very little on this board that is not right inside of the Lightning Storm right now. Ouch. That shield does not do much because there's a missile here hitting 3 overlords. And then the Lightning Storm as well, so they will not move anywhere close to the tower. And he does not have range, so the only range he has is actually the 140 on the ground cannon to try and snipe this tower. He does get it. Second round of Wasp Bomb. Very important here, so the melting point gets something to do. Good tower timing here. Just barely gets it done. Okay. So Bratwurst still in the game. However, remember, boats deal a lot of damage. Spawned in Wasp do not. So that's gonna be 240 life for Baller. Barely survives. Vulcan pick up and sell. Phantom Ray for Bratwurst. And there is the jump drive cheese coming in. Finally buys Mustangs, which you always should against boats. Mustangs are not really your main damage, but you need them to clear the mothership Wasp. So Melta Mustang should be enough to clear this out. There's also tungsten off cooldown, which Bratwurst did not pick. And these wasps are pretty much non-existent. Same for his wasp. His wasp doesn't do anything because it doesn't have upgrades. So one got already sold. Good tungsten here, hits all of this. Does not hit the Fenton race, but I mean, what can you do, right? Now Bratwurst did something. He did not put armor on his bar and didn't hit any upgrades, so these things die really quickly to anti-air Mustang. And as I said, the bolts also do die to Mustang because the melter clears does get his way cleared. And that is pretty much equalizing the health for this turn. E-Mech, very strong. Now E-Mech Blast and E-Mech Impact. Could consider hitting Photon Emission, however his upgrades are getting very, very expensive here. And he's still in bolts. Still playing the super greedy style. And now he does go for the Copium armor play, which is shield. Shield is way more expensive than armor and does tank less damage in this case even, because the Mustangs are still not that highly leveled. But they are leveled enough because this is elite after all, so he can elite recruit level 3 Mustangs anytime he wants. And he does go for the very expensive Photon as well, so there's very little added to this board right now. It's just a rematch with Photon coating as a 30% damage debuff. But he does lose this tower before he takes down this unfortified level 1 tower, by the way. Ouch. So that's gonna be GG, because the Overlords cannot carry alone. They are against upgraded Mustangs. And although Mustangs are pretty expensive, he doesn't have any fire or any cheese like that to get Bolla's Mustang defense out. That's GG. Pretty close game, all things considered. Alright, there is a speed spec for Doxson if he wants the doggies. Baller, not so much. Can go Marksman, Spider, Rhino spec, Supply spec even. No, Doxson actually wants the area spec, and we have supply spec for Baller with the spiders. Interesting. So good Stormcaller servos. I guess they hit the Tarantula and the Fangs. Not quite enough on the first round, but I mean, I think that's as good as you're gonna get when you get ASIM pushed and you are deploying normally. So good turn 1 from Doxson. Automatic Phoenix pickup, because he doesn't have DPS yet. Doxson will add the Fire Badgers, which is a very strong early unit. There is gonna be flankage on these spiders. He does run the normal optimal techs for chaff clearing spiders, with additional scaling. Doxon is pretty much saying I will supplement these fire badgers in to keep those tarantulas in place and clear chaff a little bit faster. However, he does not have the required damage to kill 3 tarantulas this turn, I don't think. Whereas the phoenixes actually deal okay with the fire badger. Not great, but it's enough. So we are hoping for a phoenix level here. That would help quite a lot. And I think these tarantulas were performing really good in terms of killing power because they were just warped in this turn. And the phoenix does get a level up, okay. So turn 3. Heavy armor. Ooh, Doxon is skipping the heavy armor. Interesting. I think they could have been very valuable on the fire badges to stall. Okay, so Doxon goes for the hacker plan. Now the problem is, if you're going hacker, you have a big deficit, because round 3 hackers is very, very expensive. Minus 100 to unlock, and another 400 for 2 hackers, with bare bones basics, no upgrades. There is actually another tarantula on the other side this time. So he's trying to close a cage around him. However, these tarantulas are still very naked, so the hackers can actually get the job done this turn. See if the tarantula can finish those fangs, because if it can, then the phoenix auto wins the round. Also minus 100 because of the shield, so a very, very expensive round for Doxon here. Essentially use 250 credits for non-units. But they're only equal in health because Baller is supply spec. Goes for efficient light manufacturing, I like that. Because we know we need chaff here to counteract the hacker. This spider is gone. Just forcing a deploy over there. Might actually backfire because this phoenix will take the tower reasonably quick. Doxon keeps throwing money at the problem because he keeps missiling this. But he does get the hack. Tarantulas do take ages killing each other, so the hacker can feast on their buddies. Okay, this is looking scary again because the phoenix got killed by the rocket. But this is very, very scary because Doxon did not pick efficient light manufacturing. So this is his big turn where Baller is sacrificing tempo. And as we can see, they're equal on money because they both used a rocket here. And within 2 turns, look at that, within this turn actually, because of additional deployment slot, he will make that money back. Although I think that's a bug. Yep, good old replay bug as usual. So unit drops, boats for everyone. Not a good news for the hackers or the tarantulas. However, the tarantula is a chaff clearing unit and will profit more of this. Mustang, great unit against hacker. Hackers do not like hacking Mustangs. Does clear the fangs reasonably quick and does hit air. So oiling coming in here. Oh, the badgers do not ignite the oil. Hacker's flank protection is still working out. However, Doxon invested into another tech. Detect the crawlers with impact drill. Might pay off later when the crawler card is dropped, but right now it's just an investment for the flank alone pretty much, because the impact drill does not help against the tarantulas obviously, because they will clear crawlers no matter what. There's additional deployment slot, however Baller does not pick that. He's staying greedy. So we will start the math and see how much he pays in mass recruitment. Because he gets 3 mass recruitments for before the additional deployment slot actually matters. We have started with 1. This is interesting. It's a level 2 crawler, which is why there's another missile here. Because level 2 crawler will beat 1 upgrade crawlers no matter what. Level advantage is important. Nice beacon around with the Mustangs, so that they don't get toasted. However, since those tarantulas are getting hacked, and there's blue crawlers as well, that is a little bit scary for the Mustangs, but they do manage. And as I said, hackers into Mustang is terrible. Boat is doing okay. Doxon actually detect the boat. The one boat with 300 enhancement again offered, but people do not pick it. Interesting to me, because enhancement model got nerfed. Maybe they're seeing that one in action. Hackers do get shields now, very expensive upgrade. Doxon adds another boat. And there's a lot of Mustangs coming. Good missile interceptor here. Stops rockets from being deployed, stops the boat, and does stop the Stormcaller. Ouch. That overload gets sniped by a range enhancement. Okay. But not all is lost, because as I said, Mustangs very hard to kill for the overload, takes very long time. But there were some sneaky little crawlers coming here from the side, taking that tower. Hackers still got their flank under control. But the boat does remain supreme. Now question is, can this level 3 Phoenix finish off those boats? I would say yes. Tower does go down too, and that is 350 plus 100 from the Phoenix plus 200 from the Tarantula, and it's GG. Alright. I'm gonna say though, I think Bola had this game under control. He was super ahead in economy. And there's too many units here that all get countered by Mustang. A crawler tech Smoke even landed, but didn't make a difference. Yeah, I like this spider flank. Maybe I should do that as well. Right, so that one was way cleaner than the Bratwurst game, when he was in the driver's seat. Okay, no dogs to be seen. Archer does have quick supply and training. So it's a standard giant setup for Baller. Archer goes for the cost control big boys. So Baller is going for double fangs because he already had the arc lights. So this is a start that got nerfed because of the arc light changes, but the nerfed arc lights are on both sides. Stormcaller RNG looks pretty good here actually. Not quite good enough, but it was pretty close. Actually, it's even. Wow. Okay, he goes for the full greed setup here. Even a laser sight. Might actually... I'm wondering what giant is he gonna go for with this Arclight setup. Doesn't look like Vulcans. Archer feels compelled to also buy Stormcallers to not fall behind. Which ironically means he will fall behind. But Stormcallers do tank a lot of tempo, that's for certain. So tiniest of wins for Baller. While Big Phoenix hits the field. Crawlers getting added here. Actually, side crawlers getting added in order to prevent stuff happening here. Interesting. Still no break on that Stormcaller firing line on the Fangs. Does upgrade one of the Stormcallers. I'm gonna say though this looks like a very mirrored game so far. Looks like Archer gets out on top. Does have Arclight range, and Baller just got it this turn. He goes for Mars Arclights here. Interesting. I would say Chaff is pretty much even at the moment. Definitely more Chaff clear on Baller's side. However, his Chaff clear is not very well protected. So that Phoenix will take a free Arclight kill there any day. And now we're trading sides. The side with the Phoenix wins. Can he snipe the Phoenixes? He can. That's a round win. Okay, so Farseer versus Hound here. More Phoenixes. A lot more Phoenixes. With range. Okay, so it's gonna be carry Phoenix here. Archer going for Elite Marksman for some reason. Okay. Double blue Stormcallers now. Still no reaction here. I mean, there's a beacon, but no interceptor or whatever. Okay. Farseer is not doing very much here. Does tank a few shots here and there, but the main carry is the Phoenix Stormcaller combo. And now we get some decent damage in, but they're pretty much equal on round 6, which is 0 damage. We still haven't seen any giants out of Baller. Goes for Amplifying Core on the Phoenix, interesting. Late Fangs, I'm gonna assume. No, actually just covering this Arclight that keeps on dying every turn. 1 kill. Double upgrade actually on the attack here, interesting. So doesn't want to commit to anything, but still wants to use his money. And increasing attack by 24% for everybody is probably worth a click when you are into this kind of glass cannon composition. There's no tanking here. Everybody is just throwing fangs at the problem and hope it stays. Now what both can do in this position is actually add Stormcallers, but the Phoenix play on this side prevented Archer from doing that. Low impact oil here, so he's probably gonna send a dog forward. Ooh, Elite Marksman, I never saw that card before. Shows up here because there is no marksman being picked. Yep, there's the fire doggies. Double nano repair for Archer. Okay, is that gonna be for worms? There's a bunch of floating money. Border is keeps on playing the same thing. As you can see in his bar, there is not even a giant being unlocked right now. Sometimes a valid strategy because there's many giants that are good against other giants. So if you are giant spec, you can pick the counter anyway. And there is the fire being ignited. Phoenixes get sniped because there is laser sight phoenixes, which is a humongous amount of range and damage. And now Archer has struck and actually busted out the Phoenix. Double bubble, double missile tempo play. Now Iron Beam is not that great for him there because that might actually kill the missile interceptor. So counter oil from Baller. Like that forward crawler here. That will take Stormcaller shots and that will also take Vulcan incendiary bombs. Come on, that is... okay. I was gonna say that Iron Beam doesn't look good. So he's afraid of the big Phoenix here. And he wants to chew through that line to hit that interceptor and the shield. So now the fortress comes out because he guesses that he needs support against the Phoenix. Phoenix techs are actually better on Archer's side. Those are very aggressive Phoenixes. Ouch. Good Iron Beam here. His also not bad. Okay, Phoenixes are dying. Is the interceptor not good enough, by the way, to intercept anti-air barrage? And that is a guaranteed win here. Yeah, that Phoenix will die for sure. But I don't think the other Phoenixes will. However, the shield does not get broken, so it's at plus 200 on Archer here. But the Iron Beam actually took a lot of value out of him. So this was the first giant manufacturing turn. Sorry about this. This is another replay bug for sure. I can smell it. So will we finally get to see something for these? Ah yeah, there they are. So it's sandworms for Archer, so he can finally make use of those items that he invested his money in. Now, considering this is round 9, naked sandworms, even with regen, not that interesting, to be honest. So Archer thinks he's got it if he can shut down the anti-air. So he will actually try to missile intercept the fortress anti-air barrage and go for the big cheese play. However, remember this factory does not have armor, so it's way squishier than you are used to. And he's banking on finishing very soon here, otherwise he is gonna run into huge monetary problems very shortly. As you can see here, no Phoenix was harmed in the making of this video. Worms do absolutely terrible into War Factory, but as you can see, level 2 War Factory not that scary if there is big Kahuna Fortress with Phoenix support in the back. And regenerating sandworms also not that scary because they are level 1 and don't have any upgrade that helps them do anything. And that is a pretty big loss, almost death for Archer while deploying a War Factory. That is a feels bad, man. Javelin on the small fort, so that's a little bit hopeful thinking. I think you put that on the Phoenix, right? Yeah, because this fort is not dying to that. Melting point comes out. As I said, he's giant spec, so any giants he can counter with the giant killer. Still, unfortunately, has a useless worm suiciding into his factory play there. But on the other hand, there's 2 useless worms on the side as well. They both have 1 kill to their name. So huge failure on the items and on the choices here. So the factories are over invested in now. We have double range, so they can hopefully compete with the fortresses. However, there is melting points here. This time the worms doing a little bit better, I would say, because they at least tank against the melting point. Ooh, late fangs here coming through. However, tower debuff time. Can these fangs here help out? This is the laser sight Phoenix, by the way, so he beats everything here in terms of range. For some reason the laser sight is still on an arc light over here. Melting point cannot finish the War Factory either. Alright, so Archer buys another turn, but as we can see here, minus 300 in money. Okay. Boats. Bought and sold. Boats do not have a place in this game because there's anti-air, there's anti-missile, there's all that kind of stuff. Tungsten into the melter. So in the end here, the melters get it done. EMEC kind of doesn't make a difference, but not that much. EMEC barrage is pretty good, but the interceptor on the factories are really strong. However, just having multiple melting points does make sure that some of them will actually connect, and that's all you need against this kind of play. Right. So another pretty close game. Okay. Fortified, another pack like the last one. Giant spec also possible. The Doctor has a spider opener. Fire Badger. I think he can pretty much do whatever he wants here. That looks more like a preference thing than anything else. Does he go random? No, he does. Okay, so Bollard does go for the pack that we suspected. And Dr. Wa is on a Fire Badger aggression plan. Okay. He goes for the Fang opening just like last time. Apparently cannot decide. So Stompers are pretty meh here. They can deal damage to the balls maybe twice and then they will die. And the side Stormcallers here can't do anything until the crawlers are cleared. So that is a pretty meh overall round, and the ball does actually get a lot of XP here. So should be leveling up on the next turn. Ooh, Baller goes for the fast here, even over a level 2 sledge drop. Interesting. Sells that Stormcaller, I like that, because that is absolutely useless in this position. But he does choose to go for an early oil, and his opponent follows up with Hound Aggression. Does take the level 2 on the Steel Balls, as he should. But even level 2 Steel Balls, the Farseer can clear everything. It's just a very strong overall unit. And the oil was placed, I would say, pretty good. Stops the tempo from Dr. Bois. Ooh, wow. Opponent does skip the portable shield. I highly disagree with that one. Does go for double Phoenix instead. Fire Badger flank. And for some reason he wants to drag some stuff to the corner. I don't know, doesn't really work all that well. Steel Balls still can't do anything because there's the oil. And I mean, you can buy Phoenixes all you want. The problem is there is still a freaking Farseer back here. And everything else gets stuck in oil. Orbital is pretty good here, can't be shielded from the Phoenixes. And now we have aggressive Scorpions. What the hell? I have no idea what this guy is doing, to be honest. Ranged Scorpions, okay. And a Beacon Steel Ball into nothing. Counter Steel Ball play on the other side to take the tower. I think this game is pretty over. So we have Advanced Shield versus Assault Scorpion here. He does not run Siege, so that is an absolute redundant upgrade. The thing about the Scorpion is there is no targets here other than Arclights that you want to hit. And I mean, there's plenty of units on your board, like Phoenixes, that can already do that. Ooh, is this gonna be the dreaded Scorpion tower snipe? It's not, because there was a Beacon Phoenix from the flank. Since opponent does not respect the air threat. One more spell. Bola gets his oil back because he bought it that early. So it's gonna be very painful. Does bust out a fortress with range here, interestingly enough. Probably to answer the Scorpion. I'm not sure about that one. Another good spell to shut down the Phoenix play. And everything else dies to the oil. Opponent is now trying to recuperate with some Mustangs. Which is another unit that does not do well into this board. Or they kill his Fangs. Some UFOs. And Baller sells straight up out of the boat in one go. Oh, does actually go for a Fire Caller just to ignite the oil this turn. And gets more forts involved. Opponent decides that shaft clear was the problem all along, which I agree with. He just didn't do anything about it. And so he does actually take the Wraith. Which should be a good turn here, because there's nothing here that answers Wraith. Other than the super big Farseer. Which can probably kill 10 Wraiths. But first of all, the Farseer is gonna feast on the Phoenixes. Then it's gonna 3-shot the first Wraith. But as you can see, he did much better this round because the chaff clear is actually existent now. And there is no counterplay right now. Right, so he does barely survive that round. Photon coating on the Scorpion. So here's oil counterplay possible to burn this side here. So Baller has to shield that, otherwise that's gonna be pretty... He oils himself. Apparently he does oil himself. Okay, okay. No, he doesn't oil anything. I don't even know. Is it Stormcaller even gonna shoot the badges? I think so. Yeah, anti-air barrage will kill these Wraith. Yeah, it does actually ignite the oil. It's still a very low value play. Because there's just one crawler or something that died. Ooh. Photon emission actually doing something. Delayed the Scorpion from death by, I would say, one shot. And he's dead no matter what he does, because the Farseer will clear everything and everyone. Yeah, I like that. So basically he bought himself time by selling out of the Stormcaller, setting up oil that turn and still taking the Farseer. But I think opponent does not play aggro at all. Because that is not a board state that should look like this. Especially not with the Scorpion aggression or whatever that was. Okay, probably plays a different playstyle, I'm gonna guess. Okay. So 2 more to go. There's the cost control doggy. So very squishy doggies. On the other side we have the super tanky doggies. Okay, he goes for the supply spider pack again. He likes picking that apparently. I can see it, I can see it. It's gonna be steel balls. Very high HP pack because of amplify spec. Considered a pretty bad spec, to be honest. And he goes for the supply spec special. The I don't want to lose turn. So steel balls will not do anything. Ooh, Arclight actually gets sniped here. The steam balls do not like that because that means they don't get to target the spider on the left. Yeah, it was actually pretty big. So got additional value from placing these phoenixes up front. Defensive phoenix here to deny rhino drops. Opponent has 0 respect for the rhino and will die. Interesting. At the front, the steep balls do pretty much the same thing. They will kill the spider. Tower goes down because the phoenix can't clear that crawler flank. But as we can see, steel balls got a level up. Killing those big tanky spiders. Phoenix does have a level up as well. Ooh. 4 hounds, one of the strongest drops there is. Great for baller here, because those doggies can go to flank defense. The hell? There's crawlers teleporting everywhere. Apparently Tala does not like having units here. Interesting. So now we have hounds here on flanking support, hounds on the opposition, shallow flank. We'll drag the steel bolts back there. And a very early spider mine. Interesting. Spider mine versus big worm. Steel bolts looking a little bit scary, but they don't got any upgrade love. So they can only take one spider, whereas they could kill two. Worm is pretty much unanswered. However, Phoenix does survive round over. Oh, skipping the heavy armor. These players are playing with my heart. Although he took the amplifying core, so the balls cannot do anything. So Tala actually not going for the boat, but Border expects the boat. And does actually play around the spells very, very much so. That is a protection Phoenix here. One of them will always turn. This side is still open to air cheese. Gotta be a little bit careful there. Okay, does it drop the boat in the back here? Huh. Doesn't look like the hottest one. Because it's gonna sit over those Mustangs and will eventually take tower, but that's gonna be way, way too late. Tarantulas get absolutely steel-balled. However, the anti-air looks still pretty much non-existent. Because Mr. Worm here has worms and forts now. Okay, Bola going for the super greed. Whereas Tala is probably gonna go more forts here. This is another interesting change, because mass-produced fortress gets 5% more attack and HP than it used to. However, he is still undecided whether or not he actually wants to play it. So for some reason we have naked worms yet again. The archer special. In theory that is not a problem, because there is charge shot on these phoenixes, which means as soon as you identify that damage is a problem, you can nuke them from orbit. That's a random ass spider mine upgrade. I wonder if he actually wanted to do that or if he misclicked. I mean, it's doing okay, don't get me wrong. Assassinating some worms. Taking some fortress shots here. Because the beacon was way, way, way too far. That's the melting point as per usual. And now we add the army of fangs in the back here. Trying to stall out these worms. No oilage yet. And goes suck on the melter. Which I think is a good play here, because there is very little damage outside the steel balls that can actually threaten a melter here. Because this melter drops in at level 2 for some reason. And is still very inexpensive for some reason. So he's gonna punish Tala with that one. if Tyler doesn't hit upgrades, and he still does not, because he's still on the halfway fortress anti-air plan. Unfortunately though, the phoenixes are already pretty leveled, so they don't die that quickly. As you can see here, third barrage might actually kill a phoenix. But here comes the steel ball special. As I said, the melter does very well into this board. He does not like steel balls at all. Anti-air barrage still not doing anything. If you're wondering why, mass-produced fortress has decreased attack, and that decreased attack does actually affect anti-air barrage. So you are throwing a bag of potatoes at the phoenixes every time and hope it might get stuck. Okay, efficient giant manufacturing coming in, so it's gonna be melting point spam out of the wazoo. Probably energy diffraction. It is energy diffraction. However, very weak this turn because he doesn't have range. Is Mr. Steelball player gonna hit the magic range button? This kind of turn will kill you, but since this guy is at 4k HP, it doesn't matter what he does. He can take the heat for one turn. Because now we have a mismatch. We have Melter with range versus multi-melter without range. There is some tiny ass range. However, they will heal, they will kill the steel balls. So next turn we are expecting Phoenix EMP, Melter range, more chaff, and then we should be okay, because there's 5 melting points worth of HP here. And now there's only 3. Or 2. Or even less. 2. 1 in a fang. Alright, let's see it. So we go on all the upgrades for sure. More melting points. All the melting points. Wow. E-make barrage, okay. So I guess he's saying, doesn't matter if I don't have range, you will have no range either. Funny part is, his opponent is the guy that should be clicking that button, because it will deny all of these techs and will remove energy absorption, which is a huge debuff in terms of HP. But considering he doesn't have any upgrades on the steel balls, I don't think he can melt any steel beams here. The boat is back. The random boat drop from a few rounds ago. There we go. EMAG does connect, doesn't matter at all. Energy distraction also gives you a debuff on the attack, because you deal 17% times 5. That one used to be bugged, now it is actually functional, but that's still minus 15% overall damage in the Melter mirror. Boat is trying its best, but it does not do the trick. Right, do we finally hit the range button? Rhinos. I'm not sure why rhinos, but I guess. There's gonna be Vulcan play here. Trying to ignite that chaff here. Interestingly enough, there's pretty much no chaff other than the first wave. There's like 2 hounds here. That came from a unit drop, by the way, so this is Tarantula galore. Energy shield goes down instantaneously because there is no unit here to block for that, which is a big mistake. If you're not willing to do that, you might as well not put up the shield, because the second barrage will most likely hit you anyway. And now there is an actual range advantage here, because that is a 20 less range on a EMP'd Melter. And that is the game. Okay. Last one, and then we are in Americas. There is the Hound special again. Quick supply spiders also. Sabertooth back in case he wants his spider pack, but he does not. Scale also has a Hound pack if he wants to. Same with Speedy Sledges. Oh, we have a little mirror matchup. I like it. Now, in terms of unit prioritization, Baller does have the fightier army because he has the Mustangs, and Mustangs perform fine against Hounds. Steel Bolts not very useful here. They are tanks, pretty much. Since the Mustangs have 350 HP and these have 4,500. But as you can see, Mustangs and Doggies have quite the high DPS, so not as tanky as he thinks. And for some reason, Scale decides to play very far back and split his steel balls, which means he has a very low power spike here. What we are looking for here is Hound levels. And there was none. Okay. Value shield upgrade versus mobile beacon. Trying to salvage that situation a little bit. Cute little rocket here. Ooh, that's actually value. Look at that. I mean, he couldn't know that that rocket was gonna hit like that, but still. Orangeman is gonna feed XP here to the steel balls, which is really bad, by the way. And yeah, the fire cheese play does work out this turn. He's gonna make a Giga Hound here. Not sure why that is. Ooh, and he tries to force a little self-oiling plan. And he goes instantaneously for the extinguisher. So this is the new extinguisher range in action, actually. So he can oil himself and still not die to the fire. Very nice, very nice. Look at those humongous balls of steel. They got leveled with the training spec, and they picked up the level from the marksman dying pretty much for nothing. But they are also a huge XP pinata for all these hungry doggies, which is very bad in return. Phoenix, a great strategy to go with the dogs because it keeps your flanks safe from air cheese, and doggies do not have the highest burst possible, but they do chaff clear very well, and the Phoenix love being chaff cleared. There's the Typhoon answer again that we saw earlier. No Wraith, no Scorpion, just straight up Typhoon, Fire Badger, Steel Balls, Mustangs. Here's all the units now. Acid Blast, pretty good value here. Got cheaper this patch, by the way, minus 50. one problem here. The hounds will clear the acid effect. So if he actually wins with that, the hounds will remove his own acid. I believe. And indeed they do. I'm pretty sure he forgot about that one, because that is not quite the acid you would like with this big hole in it. But enough doggies died. This is gonna be a very problematic unit here, by the way. Giga Steel Ball boarding it up. But again, feeds a lot of XP here. Fortress to provide a front line. The dog plan is pretty much non-existent right now. He's switching to full Mustang carry instead, because the doggos have fire extinguisher anyway, and range and mech rage is very expensive to get afterwards. So the Mustangs will be taking over here. Big steel balls get dunked on here by the fortresses. Good XP. Improved fire control, very good item here because of those over-leveled Mustangs. The Melter answer comes out to remove the fortress. However, I think this cannot be stopped anymore. I think the Mustangs do have him outscaled here. Melters are doing fine against Fortress, are doing horrible into Mustang. Also naked Melters without any range upgrades, so not even that good against Fortress yet. Incendiary Bomb comes back, spells OP, deploys all the Mustangs because there is plenty of Fangs in front and there is some Mustangs here, there's dogs here. Ooh, a nice little bow cheese right in the corner. Deletes that tower. But the Mustangs cannot be stopped on this side at all. This is almost level 10. Probably is gonna get level 10 pretty soon. So cheeky win there. However, that was a big spell. So the Phoenixes are entirely gone. Instead we have Phantom on the flank to deny air cheese. New acid is dropped, so he's getting the double value of all the spells now. Mustangs are still scaling. And there is actually a little cheese coming here as well, because his opponent identified there is 0 protection on this tower. But there is some now. Melting Point almost dies of old age. Actually, he does die of old age. And that's gonna be it. Mustangs cannot be stopped. Very interesting game. So basically, as soon as he was forced to click fire extinguisher because of the hot dog play here, he has transitioned into a Mustang power play. Look at that. Huge. Alright, congrats to Borna. Let's see Americas. Galnerius. Interesting. Have not heard of him before. But that doesn't mean anything, that just means most of the time that they are a Smurf. does have multiple options here depending on what kind of player he is. Giant for the dog aggression with the worms. Elite. Same thing. Goes for the mid dog push that I also prefer. And his opponent goes for a big concave of dog and sledge. Does net a tower debuff because the sledges are delaying the dog army. Rhino the choice to tank the dog shots here. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. So there is Sledgehammer carry on the horizon. Terrible placement on these hounds, I think, but okay. I like the response from the opponent in terms of Sledgehammer, but I think Sledgehammers work way better in a defensive position here than in this kind of scenario. I think his little concave play was cute, but not really the winning play. If you go to the line against Elite, you are behind on levels immediately. As you can see, none of the dogs are scaling for him. It's just Sledge versus... Oh no, he's leveling the dogs. Yeah, this dog unit here I think was a big mistake. He's also on the marksman dream, which doesn't work into doggies. So now we add some crawlers to the mix to tank for the doggos in the first few shots, when the marksmen target them, when the sledges shoot them. Very expensive to do so for Elite, but there was a choice made here where he decided that he wants a different unit from the unit drop. Otherwise he could have had the blue crawlers already. But yeah, as soon as Meg Rage gets hit, the sledges will have trouble dealing with this. So the sledges need the same levels and the same upgrades. And right now they are one upgrade behind, which is not good, and it's mainly due to the fact that there was money spent on the marksman. Alright, Scorpion coming up here, very good against sledges. Okay, opponent does do a very unfavorable play. He does go range on the hounds, even though he's sitting on the line. And he's behind on hound deploys instead of putting range onto the sledgehammers here. And he also gets screwed over by that Scorpion drop. Opponent chooses to go Phoenixes as well as Marksman, which is even worse, because now you cannot even upgrade your units. And both of them are very weak to Mustangs. So I'm thinking there's gonna be more Hound surrounds or Mustang in our future. Because there's already 2 Mustangs on this board right now. Actually just one more Mustang, but they get ranged. And there's also additional doggies coming in now. The Rhino went bye-bye. And yeah, this is what happens when you take too many units and you sit on the line. Now comes the Mech Rage as well. For some odd reason he has E-Mech shot. The hell? Does actually nuke him. Doesn't even take out the Scorpion because that has armor. Okay, small win for the dog army. Very good IM beam here on both sides. Because the units are barely moving and they are on the same line. The problem for this comp is these Mustangs will start scaling and these sledges don't run armor. So there's no way for them to outscale him. Desperation play with fire. Even more fire, because he's realizing now that it's probably a bad idea to let the dog carry just run away. However, this guy does not run armor on his doggies. So I think he can actually get outcarried by Scorch Vulcan. I just don't think it's the correct time for this. It's round 9. So I think this is... yeah, this is too late. Very good value on the Scorpions here, gotta say. But yeah, there was a clear mid-range Hound setup. And I would say executed pretty nicely. There's another Hound drop. Gonna go a little bit faster because I'm running out of time. Oh, he's an elite enjoyer apparently. Okay. Does take the Sabertooth pack. And still does drop the doggos. Okay. I like the blue doggos with crawler support though. That's a good elite pack right there. Because the one thing Elite does not like to do is buying blue crawlers as chaff, which he had to do last turn, last game, but he does actually get some free chaff round 1. Goes for the orange pin yet again. More doggies on the line. Vector control. Medium value missile. As you can see here, blue doggies dealing very well with the T-balls in terms of damage. But other than that, I think he's barely losing even with a missile. Skip Baroni because he needs more money, because we want ranged hounds. And that's sometimes a little bit hard to do on an elite spec, but it does work out as long as you don't take too many cards. Like this guy. This is terrible. This is carry Fang against carry dog pretty much. That means there's a boatload of XP here waiting for the dogs, and the dogs will one-shot the Fangs if they're level 3 or not. I think that is instant game loss, just because the hounds will outlevel him. So it does lose that round. Who would have thought? Yeah. Giga Mustangs in the making now, because we all know that there's gonna be air coming soon, since this board is weak to air. Not even a cheese turn. This guy takes extended range arclight as well, okay. No mech range on the hounds yet. Another missile, so he's getting behind on economy further and further now. Okay. So unless you are trying to carry with the Fangs, do not click the lead Fang button. This is not it. There's so many different units on this board that all try to achieve the same thing and fail to do so. He doesn't even need mech rage at this point, because there's nothing here to threaten the dogs. They can just walk up and kill him. Massive missile over investment here. So Mustangs will have an absolute field day here. Saberteeth not doing that much, but I mean they're still tanking, they're shooting at the shield. I would say they are doing okay. Same for the Orangeman. The Orangeman is our backup plan in terms of DPS. There, Simtex takes the last answer to his problem, which is the last available chaff clear unit, I believe. Actually, no, he's missing Vulcan. Okay. Yeah, that was a bit of a stomp, not really a game. Good for me, because I don't have much time. This guy has a very great skill, which is getting dog packs every time, which I did not manage to do. Yeah, Firebitcher is back. Oh no. Trisa is a Mustang enjoyer. With the amplifying core. Still gets two-shot by the dogs, so very dangerous. And then one steel ball, okay. Very weird opener here. So I think in this kind of scenario, ball start is obviously favored. Doggies are favored into everything here. So turn 1 is basically just a cheese turn. Carried by Amplify spec and the fact that Trisa has one deployment slot less. Okay, some marksmen from the unit drop and a Stormcaller on the other side. Doggies everywhere, backdoor doggy. Again, not my favorite positioning, should be further back. But I believe the tower debuff should come in quite handy because you might get the Stormcaller. Ah, it's close. Doggies are struggling a little bit, but they will take a lot of XP here. So that's a instant level 2 flank. A very even round. Okay. Ooh, advanced power system and a redeploy. Sneaky little runner crawler here. Is a little bit too far up because that's gonna get one shot. Need them crawl like this and then you can beacon them away. I like the deployment module. That's a funny little tidbit there. This Mustang is absolute copium. What is this? Mustang cannot fight the level 2 hound here. That's not happening. So it's pretty much a free kill. And even though the marksman defense here is incredibly questionable, he will get a double tower debuff here, no problem. Another deployment. He does take another deployment. Yeah, he figures that his opponent will do something about this. Which his opponent does not understand apparently, because he's still making the same mistake. So this needs to be missiled or a beacon, because there's no units deployed here. So the steel bolts will take the tower in a second. Now this rhino is a little bit in danger, but I don't think all the dogs will turn, so that's fine. So the rhino does okay here, but he still does take the round. Both have huge HP pools, so it's all about the army composition here. Which is not in favor of somebody that has Stormcrawlers and Rhino on the line. Okay, big Arc Knights coming in. The doggy keeps being annoying here. I think it's just fine keeping it here, because these units cannot do anything against dogs. It's the Farseer again. I actually quite like that, because a Farseer with EMP will slow down the Rhinos, so it can't lifesteal. It will take away 50% of its HP. And does okay against steel bolts, because those need to be slowed. And I mean, it's $100. If you don't click this button, you need to have a very good reason. Otherwise, what are you doing? But yeah, as you can see here, the Mustangs are a wasted deploy, feeding XP to the Stebolts. Stebolts to the Hounds, of course. And the Raid Boss Rhino goes down to get in tower debuffed and EMP'd. And now the damage will add up because those Farseers are 300 damage a pop. And the dogs have outscaled Trisa already. Super supply enhancement, okay. Very ballsy move. Rhino drop in the back here. That's gonna take tower for sure. We are putting down more rhinos for some reason. But not here. Okay. Over here it's just dog city. Dogs everywhere. Crawlers in the flanks everywhere. But I do believe that the Rhino will actually kill the tower in time. The Mustangs almost killed all the dogs, but they didn't. And the only reason they almost did it is because he used a missile here. And he still manages to lose that, so the dog will take the tower now. But it's already too late because everything is dead. So it's rinse and repeat of last turn, just one more Farseer, so he's dying faster. Ooh, EMAG and photon coating. If EMAG and photon coating show up on the same drop, you either photon coating your own stuff. If you are too spread out, you check the EMAG as well. And in this case, this is perfect because you cannot shield this very well, especially not against steel balls, but you can actually use the photon and you get a the 30% damage reduction, which is really, really powerful. And I guess you can't get EMP'd and slowed and whatnot. Oh, one single dog is left out. Feels bad, man. But yeah. I don't think Rhino aggression is it. So round 7 win for Gelners. Another crawler. Another dog on both sides actually. Tarkus is not an aggro enjoyer, so he picks the standard sledge. And Gel goes for the doggies again. Okay, so Stormcaller on the line here. Those doggies are very tanky with the 17%. That actually makes a big difference later on. Right now, not so much, but soon. And the Sledgehammer blob gets blasted by the Stormcaller. Very good round 1. Even got a doggy level on turn 1, which is great. Tacos is going for Mars Air. I don't think the dog player will mind this too much, because there is Fangs already in the way, so might as well drop some Mustangs. Mustangs will also tank against the sledges for some hot second. So big tempo play right there. Very little damage because it's early. Double deploy Phoenix is obviously high value for both. But now we need Mustangs, otherwise the Phoenix will not do anything. Setting out of the Stormcaller here. I like that. They're not really necessary if you have the Phoenixes. Taco is actually going for range enhancement. Interesting. So he has a half carry Wasp, because he still runs the shields. Does not have AoE damage, nor EMP or something like that. Fire Badger getting outranged here by the Hounds. Mustangs are not really connecting to the Wasp because their Wasp get dragged to the flank here. So not that hot. But don't forget, this is unupgraded Mustang versus upgraded Wasp. So still not the favorable position. So another round to Tarkus. Takes improved Melter, okay. Okay, straight up anti-air spec on the Mustangs. Not sure how I feel about that one, but I guess why not? Because keep in mind, these are mass-produced Wasp. So pretty much chuff. He's still in Phoenix though, so he's getting countered by Mustang pretty hard. Basically everything except the sledge. One sledge unit is already out. Got replaced by a Fire Badger. So his front line is getting very, very squishy here. The Mustangs can absolutely massacre the air now. Even without range and without levels. So it's a pretty close one, but that is around 2 Galnerius now. More levels on everything that he needs. Last sledge goes, and now the Fire Badger begins. Okay, so he's trying to counteract the dog push with a Scorch range Fire Badger hold. Interesting. Especially on Fire Badger spec, because it ranges those by 10 and then additional 10 here. So massive investment from Tarkus this turn to stop this. Huge amount of shields, lone, all the good stuff. And he does get rewarded because he keeps every single shield. Huge amount of damage. So a huge, huge, huge tempo turn. Yeah. Opponent is back in the Stormcaller. Shield breaking unit that cannot miss shields, pretty much. and has a humongous amount of DPS if every rocket lands. Launcher overload, so it shoots twice as fast. Doesn't shoot as far, but as you can see, none of these units have range, so it doesn't matter. We'll kill the shield in 2 volleys here. Firebenders still don't have range. So I'm gonna say pretty equal round. Slightly Taku's favored, but so-so, let's say. Fortress as a anti-air and shield mechanic here. And there is a Phantom Ray high level armor to counter the Mustangs here. Will also protect against anti-air barrage. But they both have not that great of an economy right now. Now remember that Daenerys has the improved melter in his back pocket, so he can actually hit the multi-melter button. And Tamkos just used a very, very expensive upgrade, Marksman, Elite Marksman on the Wasp. So he does have a little bit of range, a little bit of damage, but this is mostly a scaling upgrade, so it's not that good on turn on level 2 Wasp, especially not on mass produced. But as you can see, the Phantom Rays do actually do it. Raiden, also a very good unit against this kind of setup. No shield on those Phantom Rays, so he can't cheese another turn. Daenerys drop into 670, so almost down here. Absorb on the race there, but here comes the melter power. Multi-melter being clicked. Extremely powerful in terms of clearing here. I would say though that the Hounds probably need Mech Rage at some point, because they are the first line of defense here against the Fangs and the Crawlers. And they will get more than 3 volleys out, no problem. But for now the multi-melter will actually remove the front line rather quickly. Will also deal with the fire badges at the same time. And now the Mustangs can actually target those pesky Wasp, which are extremely squishy. So as long as Tanko's main line holds, he looks great. As soon as that's dead, you die. Horribly. Ooh, orbital bombardment. Okay, I think this is a bug. If nobody picks anything, it's always a spectator problem. Yep. Typhoon. Good pick for the headbutt and whatnot. It's basically a little hound backup. Acid Scorpion, okay. Takus feels like he needs some more oomph. Still does not feel like arranging the badges. If he does click that, he's at 125 range which outranges the Wasp. So I think he does not want the Badger to have too much range, so he can use them as little sledgehammers, pretty much. Yeah, there's a little bit of a shove clear issue for the Hound line here. Scorpion does very well into the new dropped units. So very close, round 10, but it is still Galnerius that takes it. Okay. One last intense greed training, interesting. Not sure why he needs that in this turn. Okay, he goes for a fire oil play here. Although I'm not sure if that will actually ignite with that crawler that he plays. I think the fire badger should kill that before the oil lands, right? Let's see if it gets shielded anyway. Because Tarkus is pretty tight on money here. Ooh, it's firehounds. I like that, I like that. That is a secure way to ignite the oil, and also a very safe way for the big boys to hit their desired targets. Might actually be worth it to range the Stormcallers, to be honest. Because those Scorpions will survive. And now the massacre on the Wasp can begin. And when everything is said and done, the Acid Scorpion may kill a few melters here and there, but it doesn't do anything against Mustangs, doesn't do anything against the dogs, because there's just not enough Scorpions to deal with this. Alright, so standoff 1 on the line. Very interesting defense from Tarkus there. He's playing, pretty much playing mini Vulcans. And Mars Air. Standard play this turn, I think. No, it does actually go for a speedball. With dog support, okay. Defensive posture from Red Scare. Still does lose because it's steel balls. OP, OP. More sledges. More hounds on defense. The doggies are making a reappearance here. Another loss for Red Scare that round. Skip for Galnerius. He really does not like additional deployment slot here. Interesting. So Phoenix is picked up for some DPS, since this board has 0 DPS right now. It's just stalling. Probably a good idea earlier, but there is a Mustang with improved firepower already. So that is gonna be quite annoying against Phoenix defense. Do not like this crawler here. I think the sledges are fine even back here if he really wants to defend it. If not, just wait for them to arrive at the sledges. This side gets absolutely wasted by the dogs. And that's another loss for Red Scare. Both going for the Scorpion level 3 here. I would agree there, I think. Doggies will get ranged this turn. A missile, okay. Missile for Galnerius. Maybe expects shove in front, but nope, there is no shove. And as such, the Scorpion will actually get to annihilate his preferred targets. And the big chunky boy kills the other chunky boy. Very, very little anti-air here though. Just the one Mustang squad with the improved firepower. But it's enough for Phoenixes anyway because he will take the tower. So Red Square almost dead on round 5. That's not good for him. More Mustang items means we deploy more Mustangs. Duh. More fire badgers, more sledges. This looks very, very dead to Raiden right now. Also pretty weak to Scorpion, which he already has. Steel Balls don't like this very much, but he did upgrade them this time. So this time he actually puts down the fangs that he was trying to nuke last turn. Oh well. Yeah, this dog defense does kind of work. But thanks to the range, the doggies almost won that. Okay, looks like a solid round for red here. But still not that much won here in the end. Typhoon is in and out. Level 2 Arknights getting dropped. Yeah, he does go for the Scorpion tech instead of the air switch. Probably because he already had the tech going. And his opponent is refusing to put more air units on the board, instead chooses to go more fire badges everywhere. These guys really enjoy their fire badges, I like it. But now thanks to the Scorpion range, that is a lot of damage. So these are his best 2 turns with the oil. But I believe there will be very little damage dealt because these Scorpions will annihilate the ground, and then there's just Phoenixes and some crawlers left. So very, very little was accomplished that round. Ooh, Javelin and Lightning Storm. Okay. So Lightning Storm ends this turn no matter what. Because there's way too many units here. There's Phoenixes here who hate getting Lightning Stormed. Has Quantum Reassembly, so he could save the Phoenixes. Okay. He's trying. They are upgraded Phoenixes though into Mustangs, so that is a real Fields Batman. I believe that is gonna be it. Yeah, this side is getting shreked. Scorpion Mustang, pretty good comp. At least when your opponent is a ground-based. Alright. So 2 more to go. 1 against Skay and 1 against B-Man. And then we are done. Another Hound pack here. Fire badges back over there. Rhino if he wants to go aggressive. Giant, okay. And Ganarius likes his elite doggies, that's for sure. Okay. So middle hold from Skay here. Very, very risky because there will be plenty of dogs on the flanks. And if you drag all the dogs at the same time, the Steelbolts will get value. And you don't want that. Also Saber Hound matchup not very good. The Phoenix is back. Skay agrees and tries to get rid of those Saber. Does however have Arclight and Tarantula on the board, which is a little bit awkward to say the least. But a level 2 Tarantula actually does quite well against Hounds if they don't have any upgrades. If they get upgrades, that is a problem. So that's a straight up Raiden drop. True ball hater right there. Okay. Giant spec, by the way. So that Tarantula is gonna try to solo this entire flank. And the Raiden does actually win against the Phoenixes because he has additional chaff clear. Okay, so 1 to Skay, but it's a very tiny. Okay, Wasp drop, pretty good here. Does well against the Raiden for sure. Okay, he's on the marksman plan to shut down that Raiden. Another Raiden here, because that Tarantula is gonna get overwhelmed if he wants to. Who actually puts the Wasp on defense. This is really bad because Skay will lose his Wasp trade no matter what, and this tower will never die. Okay, Steelbolts are on duty and the boat is toast with the anti-air marksman and the Phoenix combo. One pesky Steelbolt annihilates the tower. And that is around 4 loss for Skay. Skip and Mustang production for Skay, okay. Setting out of the steel ball here. Range on the doggos, I like. Does actually go Mustang as well. So he's expecting a full Raiden commit here. There's loads of chaff on this side for some reason. Not really sure if I like those deploys. Because he will lose that tower anyway, even with chaff coming in, because hounds are that effective. And you could use some chaff over here for sure. Okay, the Tarantula is doing a good job though. Without the Tarantula, this defense would be very bad. Okay, so Skay drops another one. Lost his production units apparently. HE on the Tarantula, okay. Well, this is getting dangerous now because he doesn't have range. And HE requires the Tarantula to have levels. This Tarantula has 320 damage against almost 2700. That is not good. However, there is a bunch of untagged Mustangs here now. That is very good for the Tarantula, because that will feed XP like nothing else. But as you can see, Tarantula without range, not looking that hot right now. And neither do the Mustangs. Very, very scrappy game. So another loss for Skay. Double sell here, I guess. No selling? Okay. Now here comes the range, because both parties realized the units do not perform very well without. More anti-air marksmen to cover the new board Raiden. Temp ranging. And a little cheese feed maintenance. I like that. Sabertooth cannot be killed by Raiden with this setup. That is not possible because the Raiden needs levels and the Sabertooth is a very, very tanky boy. So that is gonna tank a lot of damage. Yeah, this side is losing now because the HE range combo was pretty strong. Let's get rid of that Sabertooth, apparently. Yeah, very good turn for the Raidens here, because they have the production lines. So if you can get your opponent to deploy other stuff here, the production line will get all of these units here. So finally a win, 1k damage. Melting Point has entered the field. Alright, so he's saying, marksman, don't do anything. Give me, hand over the Melting Point, which is correct. The Melting Point does deal with these big kahunas and the Raidens a little bit better than the marksmen do. It's a little bit feels bad, man, because you already invested into the marksman, but what can you do? It's elite spec after all, so he doesn't have much money for these kind of plays, but he does have super supply running now, so he will outscale Skay no matter what. And so now this turns into a Mustang Melta comp, which should beat the Raidens as long as there's enough Mustangs. Marksman's still doing fine because they get the target prioritization with every spec. Some Melta on Melta action, which the bigger Melta wins. So we should expect EMEC coming out from Skay here. Even more production items. There's the EMEC. I think he has to be a little bit careful to not over-invest into melting points. You need plenty of Mustangs to eat the EMP effect. And even delay some Mustangs here probably, because they will get annihilated by that Tarantula if you're unlucky. Okay, there's some missiling going on. Because the Mustangs are a little bit late to the party here. Delay that flank with some doggies. Yeah, the spawning actually does make a big difference here, because the melters don't get to target their preferred targets very quickly here. However, the EMEC is not hitting the melting points all that quickly. And that is Skay on Death's Bed with 900. Photon Emission, also a play he could do. He goes for Advanced Shield, which I also like because the Advanced Shield does hold up quite nicely if your opponent doesn't have exactly this EMEC barrage. Okay, loose crawlers. I'm not quite sure if I like that, to be honest. Loose crawlers die to Mustangs very, very, very quickly. In 2 shots, actually. And he hit click speed as well. I don't know. Doesn't look like the setup. So his opponent just set up some more hounds that will come in a little bit later. The EMEC will make sure that the ground units here should walk forward so the melters can target them. And that's it. Alright, Mustang Melter still top tier comp. He had even more counterplay if he wanted to. There was photon emission on the table because the EMP effect will be negated for the first few turns. Alright, it's B-Man. B-Man versus probably doggies again? Yes, it is. This is going to be interesting because B-Man does have a different take, just like Tarkus did, most likely. Or do we see the standard Arclight defense, which we haven't seen right now? No charge shots, nothing. No Wraith defense either, which worked very well in a bunch of games. Something blue hair pulled out. There's the frickin' steel ball breaking off the pack to assassinate the tower. But yeah, that should be a hold with the sledges, right? Kind of. They are splitting. Alright, skip that. So B-Man takes some damage there. Ooh, there's the Farseer. Nobody wants the Farseer. There is gonna be marksman protection on both sides. No flank protection though. Very disrespectful. Very early Hound tech here. Interesting. So lots of units on the line here. Very forward by B-Man, but also range advantage. Guess that is gonna be a slugfest pretty much. Now this side is absolutely toast. Because there's no sledges here. So that poor one marksman has to kill all of these phantom rays through a tower debuff. Which I'm gonna guess he's not gonna be happy about. So that is 1 round to B-Man. Very small one though. Double underground threat, okay. Here comes the counter range. Not many dog levels here. There's 2 doggies here and 1 for B-Man. Could actually use a crawler here to delay that steel ball from taking his tower. I think that would be a reasonable play. But I mean, he has enough doggies here to stall this out for some time, I guess. I don't know, I think if you can delay steel balls without dragging all the crawlers, your hounds always are happier. Nasty little doggy flank here. So all the towers will die. And that looks like another beam-in. Again, very, very low damage. But there is some levels available on the stocks now. There's a rhino right here. From Mr. Rhino spec. Supply spec already was used because of the earlier hound range. Mustang's coming in now in case there is a cheeky wasp drop here, so he's gonna respect that. But B-Man does fear for his own life, so he's dropping defensive missiles and whatnot. And I think rightfully so, because he's open to Phoenix flank as well. RNG battle is won by B-Man. Has 1-1. Not sure if that makes a difference. I think it's still random as hell, but you know. Okay, this marksman is finally able to one-shot these pesky phantom rays. If he wasn't tower debuffed, that is. So it's the same thing as last round. I'm gonna guess 300 damage. Oh, it's actually more damage, okay. More like 800. So 1-1 on Galneris as well. It's a cheeky little doggy flank yet again. Not even too sure why there's crawlers and doggies here. Crawler doesn't make a difference for the rhino, I think. Should be one wasted deploy. Okay. I will say though that the Steeboy flank here has stabilized. And that's not good for B-Man, because he's losing the main push anyway. Because he flanks everywhere. He does not have much power, because that rhino can take this flank out no problem. There's no air threat here. And doggies do not care about other doggies being deployed, I don't think. Okay, B-Man drops sub 1-2k, that's not good. Laser sight. Does go for the Copium Raidens. I think that's a little bit hopeful. Okay, Mech Rage comes out. Oh no, he does go Fork even. So Fork has one big problem. If there is crawlers or Mustangs around, Fork is terrible. It will reduce your range and will not significantly increase the amount of damage you will deal. Is enough to, at least to kill the doggies here, but if he deploys more chaff, that's gonna be a hard sell. The reason why Chain is most of the time superior is because units that the Raiden can't kill tend to be clumping up. So it might look good for a turn or two, but then when too many units join the fray, we'll have some trouble. Comes the Rhino. Against the Rhino, this tech doesn't do anything because hitting more targets doesn't make you deal more damage, believe it or not. Just make it though. So loses the round, but it's not by too much. So 200. Ew, sandworm now. That is the problem now. Because this thing is huge. It doesn't really care about the Raiden damage that much. Hmm. So just straight up more Mustangs and the worm on front. So now there's way too many units here for the Raidens to contend with, and since they don't have the splash banish, they just have more targets that they can acquire. That does not scale entirely, and as soon as the tower debuff hits, these units will die. And that's gonna be it. Alright. So Galnerius in general playing a lot of doggies as well, but not as many as the others. Also some spider action going on there. Mustang Melta, the classics. But overall, I would say way fewer Arclight play. Which I personally like. I don't like Arclights being spammed everywhere because their stats are too powerful. I think they should be kept as a chaff clearing unit and whatnot, but not in terms of damage output. Alright, so that's gonna be it for me for today. I was missing the Asian one, but the Asian one was just dogs. Same thing. So you're not missing much there. It's the same meta pretty much, and that's why I'm looking at these for the most part. Alright, I might be back online later maybe, but for now I'll be gone. So have a nice day and thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.